Do you know what significant events have occurred on this day in world history? The year 1783 was one of great change in British politics. On December 19th, William Pitt the Younger became Prime Minister at the age of 24. Imagine, only yesterday a young man passed his exams, and today he leads one of the strongest world powers of the time. Pitt came to power at a difficult time. The British economy was reeling from the American Revolutionary War, and the political elite was riven by contradictions. Pitt's youth raised doubts, but he quickly proved himself up to the challenge. His reforms of the tax and financial systems helped stabilize the economy, and his ability to find compromise in Parliament strengthened his authority. One of Pitt's most important achievements was the strengthening of the Navy, which allowed Britain to maintain its dominant position on the world stage. Despite his youth, he showed remarkable determination and wisdom, and his leadership became a model for future generations. Pitt remained Prime Minister for over 17 years, making him one of the key figures in British history. His legacy remains controversial. Was he a genius or just a man of his time? December 19th. On December 19th, 1932, the British Broadcasting Corporation, BBC, took a step that would change its fortunes and influence around the world. At the time, radio was the main source of information, but almost no one had thought of broadcasting abroad. The BBC was the first to venture into this experiment, launching the Empire Service, a foreign broadcasting service. It was decided to start with the English-speaking colonies to keep in touch with the British Empire. However, the company's ambitions soon grew, and broadcasts became available in other languages. This not only strengthened cultural ties, but also allowed the British government to spread its values and ideas to other countries. The Empire Service played a special role during the Second World War, when the BBC broadcast truthful news to the occupied countries of Europe. People perceived the voice of the BBC broadcaster as a source of hope and truth in the darkest of times. Later, the corporation began to actively use television and the internet, but its goal remained unchanged: to provide quality and objective information to the whole world. More than 90 years after its first broadcast, the BBC remains one of the world's most influential media companies. Its reports are watched and listened to by millions of people who regard it as the standard of objectivity. December 19, 1911 was a turning point in the history of Coca-Cola. By that time, the carbonated beverage was gaining popularity, but the battle for its uniqueness was just beginning. In court, the company defended its right to a trademark. The problem was that the term Coca-Cola itself had become so recognizable that other manufacturers tried to copy the name and bottle design. After a lengthy trial, the court ruled in favor of Coca-Cola, confirming the company's exclusive right to use the trademark. This not only protected the company from competitors, but also laid the foundation for its transformation into a global icon. Since then, the company has launched a major advertising campaign that has literally captured the hearts of consumers. Drink Coca-Cola became a slogan that every American knew, but the company's success is as much about its ability to keep up with the times as it is about its trademark. Coca-Cola was the first to use the famous contoured glass bottle, which has become another element of brand recognition. Today, it is hard to imagine the world without this drink, which has become a symbol of global culture. What do you think makes a brand so successful 100 years later? If you liked our video, please like and subscribe to our channel. The year 1803 was crucial for the future of the United States when it officially acquired Louisiana from France, doubling its territory. This step became an important one in the history of American expansion, dramatically changing the political map of North America. The Louisiana Purchase Agreement was concluded for the sum of $15 million, which seemed like a huge sum at the time. The United States not only gained a vast territory, but also a strategic advantage by gaining access to major waterways such as the Mississippi River and New Orleans. This opened up new opportunities for agriculture, trade, and population expansion to the west. The Louisiana Purchase was also an important step in the creation of the American idea of manifest destiny, the belief that the United States should expand throughout the continent. With this in mind, the United States began to actively develop its territory, leading to the creation of new states, population growth, and increased international influence. December 20th, 1192 was a turning point in the history of the Third Crusade. King Richard the Lionheart, one of the most famous knights of the Middle Ages, was captured. This event not only changed the course of the crusade, but also had a significant impact on the political situation in England and Europe. After several years of fighting the Muslim forces led by Saladin, Richard was captured while traveling through Central Europe. He was captured by the Austrian Duke Leopold V, which was a sensational event for all of Europe. England was in a difficult position because the king was not only a great commander, but also an important political leader. The capture of Richard the Lionheart led to political instability, numerous ransom negotiations, and even protests by the English demanding the release of their king. This situation also became an important milestone in international politics, as Richard's ransom was record-breaking at the time. The Nuremberg trials, which began on December 20th, 1945, were an important milestone in the history of international law. The trial convicted the major Nazi war criminals and set precedents that later became the basis for the development of human rights and international law. After the end of World War II, the Allies decided to bring to justice those responsible for the heinous crimes committed by the Nazi regime. The trial took place in Nuremberg, a city that became a symbol of justice and the restoration of world order. 24 key Nazi leaders were put on trial. The trial became a landmark not only for Germany, but for the world, as it laid the foundation for international courts and the definition of human rights. For many, it became a symbol of justice and the restoration of order after a devastating conflict. The Nuremberg trials demonstrated that Nazi crimes would not go unpunished, and that perpetrators would be held accountable for their actions. On December 21st, 1988, the world's largest aircraft, the AN-225 Miria, was launched. Designed to transport heavy and large cargo, this huge airliner became a true achievement of aviation engineering. The aircraft can lift 250 tons on board, making it unique in the world. The first flight of the Miria was an important event for Ukraine and the international aviation community, as it became a symbol of technical power and innovation. The AN-225 was originally built for military purposes, in particular to transport Buran spacecraft, but after the collapse of the USSR, it found its place in civilian transportation. Over the years of its operation, it has set numerous records, transporting the largest and heaviest cargoes for various countries and companies. Thanks to its exceptional performance, the AN-225 became not only the pride of the aviation industry, but also a symbol of national pride of Ukraine. The aircraft was a true marvel of technical prowess. Its power and ability to operate in conditions where other aircraft could not cope made it an invaluable tool. Unfortunately, during the Russian invasion of Ukraine on February 24, 2022, the AN-225 was destroyed during shelling of the Gostomel airfield. This tragedy was a severe blow to Ukraine and the aviation community. However, despite the loss of the aircraft itself, the AN-225 will remain the pride of Ukraine and a symbol of its technical achievements. In 1898, scientists Pierre and Marie Curie made a revolutionary discovery, the element radium. This was a key moment in the development of science, as the discovered substance not only deepened the knowledge of atoms, but also opened the way to the development of new treatments, particularly in oncology. The Curie's work brought them worldwide recognition, and Marie became the first woman to win 2 Nobel Prizes in physics and chemistry. Radium became the basis for new discoveries in physics and medicine. The study of radioactive elements opened up new possibilities for cancer treatment, but it also led to some unexpected consequences, such as dangerous radiation. Nevertheless, scientists like Pierre and Marie Curie have left a legacy that has influenced the entire course of science and medicine. Curie's science has had a profound impact on everything from medicine to military technology, opening up new possibilities for humanity. On December 21, 1988, a Pan-American Boeing 747 airliner exploded over the Scottish town of Lockerbie. The plane was en route from London to New York when an explosive device hidden in a suitcase detonated in the baggage compartment. The explosion occurred at an altitude of more than 9,000 meters, scattering debris for tens of kilometers and killing 270 people, all passengers, crew members, and residents of the town. Most of the damage was in a residential area, where debris destroyed homes and started fires. Emergency services and local residents immediately launched a relief operation. Rescuers found the bodies of the victims and the wreckage of the plane over a vast area, which complicated the investigation. The crash became one of the worst examples of air terrorism, with Libyan agents blamed. The Libyan government later admitted its involvement, leading to international sanctions and diplomatic pressure. The tragedy sparked global changes in aviation security. Stricter baggage screening was introduced, airport security measures were tightened, and cargo transportation rules were revised. On December 21, 1846, Scottish surgeon Robert Liston performed the first surgery under ether anesthesia. It was a major medical revolution that transformed surgery, making it more accessible and safer. Until then, patients experienced incredible pain during surgery, which limited surgeons' abilities and jeopardized the success of such procedures. With ether anesthesia, surgeons could now perform more complex and longer procedures without subjecting patients to excruciating pain. It opened the door to new possibilities in medicine, making it possible to perform complex surgeries without putting patients at risk of death from shock or infection. Liston became a symbol of medical innovation, and his methods were soon used around the world. 22nd of December. In December 1941, as the situation on the fronts of World War II became increasingly tense, British Prime Minister Winston Churchill made an important visit to the United States for talks with President Franklin Roosevelt. This event became a symbol of the close cooperation between the two countries in the fight against Nazi Germany and its allies. Churchill and Roosevelt discussed strategies for joint action, including the opening of a second front in Europe, which later led to the Allied landings at Normandy in 1944. The talks also touched on important aspects of military and economic aid to the Soviet Union, which had already entered the war against Germany. Churchill and Roosevelt agreed to increase the supply of arms and materiel to the Soviet Union to support the front in Europe and Eastern Europe. The Allies also agreed on principles that became the basis for the post-war world order, including the creation of the United Nations in 1945. December 22, 1989 was a landmark moment in the history of Eastern and Western Europe. The Brandenburg Gate, a symbol of the division of Germany, was reopened after 30 years of blockade. This event was the culmination of the revolutionary processes in Eastern Europe that led to the fall of the communist regimes. Protests in the GDR, supported by people in other Eastern Bloc countries, showed that communism had lost its power. Demonstrations by the thousands demanded more freedom and political reform, which led to the GDR authorities being unable to maintain control, and the border was soon opened. The opening of the Brandenburg Gate symbolized not only the end of the Cold War, but also the beginning of German reunification. This moment was incredibly important, not only for the Germans sacking the division between East and West and strengthening the unity of Europe. Subsequently, Germany underwent a long and complex process of integration that continues to influence its political and economic life. In 1882, Edward Johnson, an assistant to the famous inventor Thomas Edison, created the world's first electric garland. He used it to decorate his Christmas tree at home in New York. Small colored bulbs connected by wires shone so brightly that they attracted the attention of neighbors and the press. This was a real breakthrough, because before that, people used candles to decorate Christmas trees, which often led to fires. At the end of the 19th century, however, electric garlands were rare. The cost of electricity remained high, and only the wealthiest families could afford such a decoration. Mass advertising of garlands did not begin until 1901, and the real success came in the 1920s when garlands became affordable for the middle class. Today, garlands are a symbol of the holiday season. They decorate Christmas trees, homes, and even entire streets. We use them to create an atmosphere of warmth and comfort, but few people realize that it all started with a small experiment in Edward Johnson's home. How do you decorate your home for the holidays? Do you use streamers, or do you prefer something else? Dear friends, if you like our video, please subscribe to our channel.